Hi, I'm Dana, and today I want to talk about some of the food issues that I experience as an autistic person. I don't think they're all entirely because I'm autistic, as with most things I experience. I think they come from the variety of complex and nuanced things that happen to us in day-to-day life. So before we get into it, I do want to give a trigger warning because obviously eating disorders are quite common within the autistic community. A lot of us deal with them. A lot of us deal with various types of eating issues and issues with food. So if you're in any sort of mental space where talking about food and eating habits and all of that kind of thing is going to affect you, please don't watch this video. I will be trying not to say anything that I think would be triggering or that would trigger me, but obviously everyone's trigger points are different. I don't know what's going to affect you, and it is going to be quite a heavy video, so if it's going to affect you in a negative way, I would ask that you just please don't watch it. You know, I don't want to be the reason that you're going through something horrible, essentially. I'm already dealing with my own stuff. Don't do it to yourself as well. Just leave, watch something else. So getting into it, the main thing that's inspired this video is that I currently feel absolutely exhausted, and I was meant to be heading into town to meet up with a friend and go to a craft fair, and it was meant to be a nice little day, you know, and I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept. I didn't sleep well anyway, but I've woken up feeling like I absolutely have not slept, and my body feels super heavy, and I'm just so freaking tired, and my brain isn't working properly. And I was obviously, as you do when you feel like that, I was thinking why do I feel like this? What has gone on? And then I was when did I last eat a meal? When did that last happen? And I was thinking, and I was thinking, and I was thinking, and I was oh, it was that. That was 4 days ago now. We're on the 4th day since that happened. There's been 3 days where I just didn't consume any sort of actual substance. I didn't eat anything. I've drank things. I've drank Pepsi, I've drank tea, I've drank a little bit of water, praise me. But you know, I just haven't eaten anything. And it's one of the types of things that is really fucking bizarre to me at this point in life. Because obviously, I say obviously, if you don't know me, I grew up overweight. I was always the fat kid, and I continued to gain weight into my early 20s and then just dropped it. It just sort of happened to me. I'd done all the eating disorders and the flash diets and cabbage diets and all sorts of bollocks to try and lose weight, and it never worked. And then all of a sudden I'd gone vegan. I couldn't eat the same things that I was used to. I was having to replace things, and it just sort of happened for me. So it's, you know, I spent years being real fucking pissed off about the girls that did. I just forget to eat all day. I forgot to eat for 2 days. I just forget about food. They pissed me off to no fucking end, because it's how do you just forget about food? You know, for a vast majority of my life, I thought about food a lot. And, you know, in some ways it was because I had severe issues with food and with eating, and that's the thing that happens to you. But in other ways, it was very much because as an autistic person, I really struggle with eating. You know, even beyond any mental health, eating disorder type related things, textures and smells and flavours, the entire act of eating can be quite overwhelming for me, you know? I often go for very bland things that I'm very familiar with, because eating new things and trying new things and having new flavours and new smells and things that don't taste the way that they smell and all that kind of thing, it's quite overwhelming. I had a lot of meltdowns at meal times as a young child, way before I had body and those types of issues, and I would have these massive meltdowns because the food just wasn't right, and it was so it was just so much having to eat so many times a day and having to have all these different types of foods and everything. It's just so much effort, and it's especially I as an adult, when I'm doing well with my food, it tends to be because I'm eating the same thing every single day. And as a child, that just wasn't available to me. My mum was very you need to eat a variety of things. So having the constant change and constant new things and just everything, you know, there was a routine to my meal times in that we all sat down as a family and things. But the actual food, I just found really fucking difficult. I would have so many arguments and just really difficult times with my parents because I was a picky eater and I just didn't want to eat, and oh, so you won't eat this but you'll eat that, you can't be that hungry then, and that kind of thing. So after dealing with that for my entire childhood, by the time I reached my teen years, that was where the eating disordery, mental healthy type of stuff really started to set in. And like I said, I'm not intending for this video to be absolutely triggering to everybody that watches it, so I'm not going to go super deep into it. But there was a good while where I suddenly had complete control over my own food, and I just didn't know what the fuck I was supposed to do. So I was largely living off of chocolate and takeout, frankly. And then I'd go through phases where I was like, that's not healthy, that's not good for me. I'm, you know, feeling really bad about my body, I need to lose weight, and blah, 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 blah. And I'd go the complete opposite end of the spectrum and massively cut down on calories and just be really restrictive. And like I say, like this entire time, like I thought about food all the time, because I still have to. That's the thing, if my brain is taken up on thinking about other things, if I'm dealing with like lots of other things on top of just like surviving, living my life, I don't think about food, and that means that I just don't eat, because there's the process of like I have to think about food quite in depth to decide if it's the right kind of like flavour and texture and just general vibe for the day. You know, like it's not healthy, it's not good, I don't recommend it, but I'm probably on like 2 years now of predominantly eating one meal a day. There was a month that I was in America with friends and I was actually eating like at least 2 meals a day, usually 3, and that was insane for me. But that was literally a month in the last like 2+ years. And that is so largely because finding like sitting with my own thoughts and figuring out what the good thing to eat is and how it's going to be and making sure that it's right, and then having the energy to cook it and make sure that it's the way that it's supposed to be so that I can actually eat it. Doing all of that and putting all of that mental energy in before even getting around to the physical aspect of actually cooking, it's so much effort and it's so much energy. And I feel like it takes me all day to get to the point that I'm able to eat something, you know? There's been a lot of times that I've been like, oh, I have this thing happening this evening, so I'm going to eat the thing I was going to have for dinner for lunch. And it's just not right. I can't do it. I'll have like 3, 4, 5 mouthfuls and be like, I can't eat anymore. And it's the type of thing where it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm full, but it does feel like there's too much in there, you know? Like I'm not full, I'm still hungry, but too much of the wrong thing's gone in and I can't stomach anything now. You know, and that's pretty much how it is on a good day for me, honestly. On the bad days, it's when I get to the point where I'm like absolutely physically exhausted and I have no idea why until I realise that I just haven't eaten for 3 days. And, you know, I hate it. Like, I hate the way it sounds because I know how much I pissed myself off, like other people pissed me off when they'd be like that. And I was like, my brain's constantly consumed by the thoughts of food. What the fuck do you mean you just forgot to eat for days on end? But I've just been like so consumed by other things that I just didn't think about it, you know? Like I have steak bits in the fucking fridge because I went to Asda and bought food, and I just didn't think about them. They just didn't want to pop into my mind. And it's the kind of thing where you might think, well, Dana, you've realised now that you haven't eaten for several days and that's really not good for your body and that's why you feel so tired. Why have you started filming a video before you eat something? And that's where we tie back into the eating disorder stuff. And again, I'm not trying to be super triggering. And if this is something you found you're likely to find triggering, you've been watching this far, hoping you'd be alright. And this is when we're getting in. Sorry about that, my fucking memory suddenly filled up. But yeah, that's what we were getting to. I don't know exactly what point it cut off. So again, if this is something that you've been watching thinking maybe you won't find it too triggering and it's not been too bad so far, this is where I'm sort of like getting into a bit. And as much as I'm not trying to make it triggering, I do think that it probably will be for a lot of people. So maybe turn off now if you didn't already, because it's the type of thing where realising that I've been able to just not think about it, it's just not been in my head, and I've just floated along through life without having to think about food or eating or doing any of that, and knowing that it will cause me to lose weight. I'm like, I'm getting good at this though. You could just carry on, couldn't you? You could just continue to not eat until you have to and then do it again because you're getting good at it. And it's like, no, it's not something you should be getting good at. It's not something to get good at. It's not a good thing. Like, no part of not giving your body what it needs is good. And yet there's still that like horrible little part in the back of my brain that's like, but you wanted this for so many years. Just go with it. Just do the thing. You wanted to be skinny and now you kind of are, but you could continue to just not eat and get skinnier, couldn't you? And it's like, no, because that's how people die. You know, the logical thinking part of my brain is very aware that in order to have a logical thinking part of my brain continue to be there, I need to fuel it. That is the point, is like, as a human body, we need to eat food. You know, and you can argue all you want about how much you should be eating and what type of things to be eating and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, objectively, your body needs food to survive. Whatever that food is, it needs it. It doesn't matter that much whether it's a salad or a cheeseburger. You need to eat in order to keep going. But the combination of the leftover little like eating disorder part of my brain that's like, but what if we just didn't know? Combined with my general current low mood of like, do I want to keep going low? I just don't care. And the thing is as well, like I said, I have to really plan what I'm going to fucking eat and what I'm going to like use as food, which is what I'm going to, see what I mean? That like actual logical thought part of my brain is leaving. And because I forgot about it, obviously, I haven't been thinking about what the next thing I'm going to eat is. So I don't have anything planned, I don't have anything that feels safe, I don't feel like I have anything that I will be able to actually eat if I just eat something now, which means I'm going to prolong it another few hours, which isn't fucking good and which I shouldn't be doing and which I would not encourage to anybody else. Again, I know this is probably like kind of triggering and I'm trying to make it not be, but I'm also, you know, I feel like I've never seen somebody else talk about this kind of thing in the way that I feel it, in the way that I've experienced it like my entire life. And it'll probably be helpful to some people. But I'm also very aware that I was, like, watching a video like this, personally, 6 months ago would have been really dodgy for me. Because it's the thing of, like, as much as I can press it down and pretend it's not there, the little, like, don't eat, do better voice that's in the back of my head, it's always there, you know? It gets real quiet, it gets real muffled, but it's always fucking there. And having the moments when I'm like, oh, I've just realised I haven't eaten, it gets so fucking loud. It's like nothing's there to muffle it anymore. And it's really fucked up and I really fucking hate it. And it's, you know, it's especially like so bizarre to me when I remember being like a 13-year-old and watching like movies about eating disorders and stuff and like really glamorising it and really thinking the women in it were like so strong and cool, man. And now that I'm like, you know, essentially sometimes living like the women in the movies that I'm watching, I'm like, what the shit were we glamorising? I look like shit, I feel like shit, I'm going to continue feeling like shit for a while, nothing good is happening here. Like, I don't even like my fucking body, you know? Like, there is literally no point to this. Like there is other stuff that goes into it as well, because there is also the little part in the back of my brain that's like, we are saving so much money by not eating though, because those steak bakes, they can go in the freezer and we can have those at a later date. And we're practically making money by not eating, and it's like, no, we're not, bitch, because we still bought the fucking food and we're just gonna buy food again later on. And like, the point of having money is that you live on it, and part of living is eating fucking food. But I think the point of this video, besides like unpacking all of that stuff, is very much that, like, as much as I have that part of my brain, and as much as I get triggered and things like inspire me, I suppose, to want to return. See, that's the thing, is obviously like, I'm pissed, I don't want to do this and I'm annoyed at myself. I think the point is kind of that thing of like, sometimes you've got to fight against your own little brain and be like, no, we're not fucking doing that, you dumbass little bitch. That's not the goal anymore. We're not 13. We're not glamorising fucking eating disorders. We're doing our best to maintain like the healthiest life that we can, you know? It doesn't have to be healthy, but the healthiest that we can. And part of that is eating fucking food and putting substance into our bodies and trying our best on that front. And, you know, it's the kind of thing where like, I am annoyed about it. I am annoyed that I've let myself get to this point. I am annoyed that I haven't started putting the thought into my fucking meal yet, so like it'll probably be like 10 o'clock tonight that I actually fucking eat, and that's not good, that's not healthy, I'm disappointed in myself for that, you know? And some of that is also like, I'm having to consider what I will actually have the energy to cook, which is not very fucking much. I would much rather just order takeout, but I can't fucking afford it, and that's the way of life. And I also can't just keep living off takeout. I think that I always just thought that there was the thing of like, you have an eating disorder, you're recovered. And I was never diagnosed with an eating disorder. I don't know if that's really the right, I mean, I don't know what else I'd call it, because like I had very disordered eating and a lot of like very negative thoughts around it all and everything. You know, it was definitely that sort of mental health issue, but I was never diagnosed with an eating disorder, which I feel like also gives me some degree of like, well, that's because I never had an eating disorder, so I never had anything to actually recover from. And it's like, no, but clearly like I'm having to do these thought processes and tell myself this stuff. Like I obviously am having to recover and deal with that. But I very much saw it as like, you're either dealing with it or you're recovered and you're fine. And being at this funny in the middle part where I'm having to like push away the thoughts and tell myself the right thing and really work against myself is just a bit weird. I wasn't expecting it, and I don't feel like it's something that gets talked about all that often. And I do think some of it's that like I'm autistic, so I'm seeing it in a black and white way, and it's like, you're fine or you're not. And I know that's not the way the world works, but you know, like, I didn't expect to be 27 and still be thinking about this kind of thing, you know? Like when I was like 13, 14, 15, really going through it with my eating issues, that was the kind of thing that there was a lot of like mental health stuff that I thought was just going to go away when I turned like 18. And I definitely didn't expect to still be thinking about it and having to deal with it on like at 27. But we are, like, you know, like I can try and put some sort of like negative spin on it or whatever else, so I can just fucking deal with it and work on it and do my best. And that's what we're doing. So if anyone made it this far, I hope you didn't find this like too triggering. I'm not trying to make it triggering. I am trying to make it just like an honest chat and to like have health and doing what's best for your body very much at the forefront, because I do think that's what we all need to do. I don't think weight should matter. I don't think the way that we look should matter, but I'm also very aware that it does, and it does affect me. It's very much just that I've not seen other people talk about experiencing food issues in the way that I have, and I do think that it ties very heavily into my autism. And it'd be nice if, I mean, it's not nice because I don't want people to be able to relate, but it also would make me feel a bit better as a person if someone out there did relate, you know? That's the point of all my videos. And on that note, I post videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. You can also follow me over on TikTok, where I post like multiple times a week. I'm pretty regular over there again at the minute. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where I haven't posted in ages, but I intend to get back to it at some point. If you want to contribute a bit financially, I do also have Patreon and Ko-fi. Patreon gets occasional little writings that I've been doing. I'm gonna post more of those, as well as getting every video early. And you don't get nothing from me over on Ko-fi. If you leave a message, I'll reply to it at some point, but that's it. It massively helps me out, to be honest with you, and it's really nice of anyone that does choose to do those things, but there is no pressure. You don't need to. I really like the fact that my content is free and just like there and hopefully like somewhat easy to find for people that want it and like need that type of content. I do not expect you to pay me. I do expect YouTube though. Like, please don't use an ad blocker on my video. But yeah, whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.